Photoshop has a built-in grid, rulers, and you can add your own guides. I'm going to start with the built-in grid. Under the View menu is Show and Grid. And when I first turn it on, it's a bit overwhelming. What I like to use the grid for is to see the dead center of every image I open. That way, I can create borders or frames from the center out. So under the Photoshop menu, if you're on the Mac, is Preferences and Guides, Grid, and Slices. On Windows, that's under your Edit menu, down to Preferences and Guides, Grid, and Slices. So once you get to Guides, Grid, and Slices, there's a setting. Instead of grid line every 1 inch, I'm going to type in 50. And instead of inches, I'll choose percent with a subdivision of 1. And if I scoot my window over, there is my grid at dead center. The subdivision let you break the grid into more finite increments. So if I type in 2, you could see each quadrant gets split into 4 quarters. But I like it at 1, and people who are doing web or device content may need to be slicing images in even sections so that they load faster. Once I click OK, I can now use my rectangular marquee tool and make a selection from the center out. But to be safe so I don't harm this image, I'm going to start by adding a new layer. So I'll go to the Layer menu, choose New, and Layer, and name it Border, and click OK. In order to get that border from the center out, I'll move to the dead center where the grid lines meet, and I'll hold down my Option key on the Mac and Alt on Windows. And as I click and drag, it makes a selection from the center out. But if I let go of Option or Alt too soon, I will only get this little quadrant down in the lower right. So I'll choose Select, Deselect, and try again. I'll hold down Option or Alt. Got it there. Click and drag, and let go of my mouse first. Now, although I said this was going to be a border, I really want to do what's called burning the edges to draw focus in to this glass of brandy and the very warm fire. So to do that, I'll choose Select, Modify, and Feather. I always prefer to feather after selecting. I almost never put feather in the tool itself because I don't know that I want my selection tool to add feather automatically every time. And when I come back tomorrow or next week, if I forget that feather's in the tool, I may have to make new selections that have taken me some time. So bottom line, it's safer to feather after you've made your selection. Now, feathering is dependent on the resolution of your image, but I'm just going to guess at 100 pixels based on my file size. When I click OK, I get a nice rounded corner, but that's not really what's going to create my border. If I choose Select Inverse, now I see marching ants along the outside, and I can fill with black, which will burn or darken the edges. So I will choose Edit, Fill with Black, and make sure that Preserve Transparency is not on. The whole layer is transparent, so it needs to fill some of the transparent area. So Preserve Transparency off makes this work. If Preserve Transparency was accidentally on, you wouldn't get anything once you hit OK. But I'm hitting OK, and I'll choose Select, Deselect, and now I've got a nice dark feel to this image. In fact, I could lighten the opacity a bit to make it not so severe. But I'm very happy with it. If I wanted to align other elements in this image, I could hide the grid under View, Show, Grid, and turn on my rulers. And this would let me do my own custom guides wherever I'd like them. So under View is Rulers. And let's imagine I just want rulers around the brandy glass because maybe I'm doing a mock-up for a client that they want to put their logo on this glass. So I need to position my rulers to frame the glass to choose how to fit my text. So once the rulers are on, you can move up into the hash marks where the numbers are in the ruler. And I like to be on the Move tool, although you don't need to be. I just find it safer. So I've clicked the Move tool. I'm back in the hash marks in the ruler, and I'll simply click and drag down until I hit the top of the brandy glass. And you can see the value. I'm 3.1 inches from the top of the image. Now this is known as rich cursors, showing me my position. I'll let go. I'll move to the left ruler, click and hold and drag into the photo, and place it smack up against the left side. And I'll do the same for the right and the bottom. And if you do something like this, now if I need to make a selection, my rectangular selection tool will snap to the custom guides that I've built. So that's also handy if I want to just copy and paste glass out of this photo into something else. So we'll finish off by showing that. Before I choose Edit Copy, I need to make sure I'm on my background layer so it knows to copy the pixels where the glass is. And now we're ready to choose Edit Copy. When I choose File New, Photoshop knows what size image I copied. So when I type glass for the file name and click OK and choose Edit Paste, I've now got the glass pulled out of the image based on my guides, and I used a rectangular selection to do my copy. So you've seen how to use View, Show, Grid to see the center of images, and View, Rulers to be able to turn them on and drag down your own guides for alignment in the photo or to aid you in copying and pasting. And when I'm all finished, I'll choose Select, Deselect. I'll turn off my grid, View Show Grid, because if you leave it on, the grid will appear in every document you open. So I turn it on and off as needed. And I can turn off my rulers if I'm mostly doing photo correction and not web or mobile or device mockup. So I hope you're successful in adding grids and guides to this image. Give it a shot on some of your own photos.